Okay. Parshas Shoftim. Talks about basically the whole system of government. All the positions of authority, and the halachas regarding them and the privileges regarding them. Is what's set up in this week's parsha. The samchiot, the authorities of the Beis Din, the authorities of the Beis Din Agadol, the melech, right? The kohen, the navi, right? Everyone's executive powers, right, and their their privileges and halachas of how to treat them. That's all what's set up here. And of course, as a function of the system of government, right? So there's obviously the laws of war, right? The hilchos milchama are here, right? Now, but we neglected to mention regarding the whole system of government and the whole legal system, including the halachas of Edom. All the hilchos edus are also in this week's parsha. Everything, right? But as far as a national action that involves many, if not all, of these people is milchama. Right, and that's like the Gemara says in Brachas that when they first ask the Melech, and then they're yotzim b'achitofa, and they speak to the Sanhedrin, etc., etc., etc. Right, war is a pu'ula, a national pu'ula that requires the input of most, if not all, of the branches of government that are set up in this week's parsha. So the laws of war are here. Right? Right. Of course, Arei Miklat, which also appear in this week's parsha, right? So well, first of all, that has to do, even though it's not, I don't know if it's mentioned in this week's parsha, but the din of Arei Miklat is is also totally in the Kohen Gadol. It's one of the things that are totally in the Kohen Gadol, because the guy leaves when the Kohen Gadol dies. But it's easy to understand that it's a necessary measure for governing the people, right? Without Arei Miklat, so I won't be taking the law in their own hands, and then people will be killing you. You kill my brother, I'll kill you, and it keeps, it's a way. It's also a way of governing society to keep things under control. Right? Same thing with Eglah Rufa. So the Rambam explains in the Mer Nevuchim. Aside from the kapara aspect of Eglah Rufa, says Eglah Rufa inevitably will cause the murderer to be found, and Ram gives a few reasons why. First of all, the Skanim are not going to want to have to spend the money on the Eglah; they're going to look for him and try to find the guy, etc., etc. And Ram brings a few scenarios over there that. The Ram brings a few different reasons. Take a look in the Martin. It's very interesting. There's a whole chapter on it. That you should know Eglah Rufa is not just for kapara, but you should know it prevents murder, because the whole ceremony will motivate certain people to find a murder. Amongst them, the Zkanim, but more importantly, it says the Rambam, the guy who owns Nachol Esan, so lo yizara v'lo ya'abed, he's going to find the guy. He's going to find the guy, right? But it's kalav in that from keeping law and order, which is the pool of government, is to have measures, for murder. Have measures for murder that's not chayiv misa because you didn't catch the guy, or there's no edim and asros. There's already right. Thus milchama and hilchos ritzicha, these are directly related to the function of government. Milchama is very much it's like all the government offices are involved in that decision. Right? We're going to get into this deeper. That's but now we're speaking, bepashtus, before we get into this deeper. And the same thing, with ritzicha, all this, the hachsav ori mikla, hachsav egla rufa, is you have to control society. That shouldn't become like the Wild West and people take the law in their own hands, or people murder and get away with it. Yeah, okay. But there's a very big problem. It's pretty much everything that we said is like in a retzef, is a continuous order from the Shoftim to the Melech, right, to the Kohanim to the Navi, right. And then after that Orei Miklot and Milchama, right. Edim appear at the beginning, Edim appear at the end also, right. It's all beretzef, right? Pretty much, but there's a major break in action, and in the major break in the harmony of the theme, and that's after the Torah first starts talking about Shoftim and Shoftim Titein Lecha, right? And Tzedek Tirdov, right? Lo titachak asher koitz etzom mizbach Hashem Elokecha shtasach no asher in the mikdash. Lo sakil matzeva asher sonei Hashem Elokecha. I know matzevas. Lo zbach Hashem shtasach kol asher bo mum kol devarak. Right. And then if anyone's doing avodah zara, right, kill the avodah zara. And then the Gemara, the Torah resumes finishing up the sugya of the Sanhedrin. So it's opened up with the din of Sanhedrin b'chol sharecha. Took a break with no Asherah in the Makom HaMikdash, right? No matzevas, right? And to be makriv a korban tamim, and to wipe out avodah zara, and then it went back, to continue the discussion of the special authorities of the Beis Din HaGadol. And so why did Torah do that? It's like it's not only is it seemingly not even part of the whole parsha, but Mamash came in the middle of the sugya of Dayanim. First they said Dayan B'chal and the Beis Din HaGadol B'frat, and right in between the two, they stooped in all these things that l'chora are Eino Mina Inyan. Right? So let's get more specific. No favoritism, no shochad, right? And then it went into the Isurei Avodah Zarah, right? Isurei Avodah Zarah, and then the Isurei of the Mikdash. We have to understand why that, right? So now from the So now this amazing thing on the Isra Matzeva. So Rashi says, Lo sakim l'cha matzeva, matzeves even achas lahakriv, ale afil l'shamayim. Right, the Isra Matzeva is, right? That is a special Isra Matzeva, even though there's shchutei chutz, it's going to become osir once there's a Makom HaMikdash, there's going to be Isra Bamois. But there's a special Isra not to be makriv on a matzeva, even la shamayim. Be makriv on this piece of stone called a matzeva. Asher sonei mizbach havanim u'mizbach adam matziva la'asos. Right? Vedzu sonei ki chok haytel kahanim Vav pi shaita huva lo bimea avos akshav sna me'achar shasu elu chok avos kochavim. Right, the special isser matzeva. So Rashi's coming to explain that it's a special isser aside from the problem of shchutei chutz, because it's a violation of the type of mizbeach that HaKadosh Baruch Hu wanted. Right, made up of parts. Mizbach avanim, mizbeach adam. It is like a solid stone. Afal pi shaita huva bimea avos. Right, because the avos were makriv on matzeves. Right, but since the Canaanim do it, they do it for the avodah zarah, so HaKadosh Baruch Hu hates it. Right, so you have to, you understand the special isser of matzeva, but what's more troublesome is is what Rashi says here. Asher sonei Hashem Elokecha, it's coming l'revusa. Even though once upon a time I loved it when the others did it. So that's a pella. Right now the Arabs do bris milah. Right? So we're going to stop doing bris milah. Alright, if a goyim would do anything doimet to our mitzvahs, l'shem avodah zarah, we wouldn't stop doing them. So I say, the matzeva, I loved it when the others do it, but now since the goyim do it now, so I don't want you to do it anymore. Pella. Right?
The only thing I can think of that's anything doimet to that is with the gra, the gra not allowing the ilanos and Beit Knesset. That's a similar idea, right? Because the goyim took over this idea of trees and whatever for their holidays, so
yeah.
They're going to
the
gra. That's why in Shavuos, nobody. That's why the Ashkenazi shuls don't decorate their shuls. In the Hasidic shuls, they didn't follow the gra. So if you go to
even the goyim is only trees or flowers. I think people do.
Okay, but whatever it is, but I'm just saying that's something that's somewhat domed to that idea. But it's the only thing that I can think of. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So now, there is a clue over here. There is a clue. Lo sitacha asher koitz etzel mizbach Hashem Elokecha asher ta'aseh loch. Right, that Chazal do darshan a smuchin over here. It's a Gemara that a person who's memana dayin she'eno hogun, so it's as if he was notea asherah. But this Isser Asherah is Etzel Mizbach Hashem Elokecha. Right? There's a special din, as Rashi explains. This is not the typical Asherah that was served as Avodah Zarah. This Isser of planting a tree in the Makom HaMikdash is even if you don't serve it. Right? Even if you don't serve, it's a special Isser, which we'll have to explain. It's not, it doesn't have to be, even if you never oived it, it's still osur to do mitzad the place, mitzad the makom, right? Mitzad the makom, right? So the isur is mitzad, any tree, etzel mizbach Hashem Elokecha. Etzel mizbach Hashem Elokecha should ring a bell, right? Rashi in the beginning of Parshas Mishpatim, Ve'ela Mishpatim asher tosim lifneihem. So how does the Parshas Yisro right before it end? Right? Mizbach avanim tasli losiv nehem gazis. So Rashi brings the Chazal, that lo malcha shetosim Sanhedrin etzel mizbeach.
Where is this in Yisro?
It's Rashi, first Rashi in Mishpatim. No, the pasuk before Mishpatim is the tzivui of Mizbeach, the actually Mizbeach, not made with cut stones. So is it right after? Why is it that right after that, it starts Parshas Mishpatim? Then Lo Malcha Shetosim Sanhedrin Etzel Mizbeach. So this is a clue. So there's also been Notea and Asherah Etzel Mizbach Hashem Elokecha, but Sanhedrin is supposed to be Etzel Mizbach. The din of the Beis Din Agadol, whose halachas are more learned befrat in this week's parsha. After this break in action, immediately after this break in action, we are talking about Asherah b'makom HaMizbeach, right, and Matzeva and the Yisra Avodah Zarah, and right after that we start talking about the authorities of the Beis Din Agadol per se. And first we're talking about the Klali Dayanim. But immediately after we start talking, introduce the concept of the judicial system to be set up b'chol sha'arecha is lo sitalcha asher koetz etzom mizbach Hashem Elokecha. Rings a bell that we had something like this before. El mishpat yutasim v'neim, which is right after the pasuk in Parashas Yisro of the tzivui of mizbach, mizbach avanim, I know today goes is to teach you shetosim sanhedrin etzom mizbeach. No trees by the mizbeach. Beis Din, yes, by the mizbeach. And that's a major clue. Right? So what's the pshat on that? Why should you put the Sanhedrin etzel mizbeach? And this is not just Damadin, what is mitparesh in this week's parsha, is really telling that, right? The kamta valita makom asher yechar bo, right? Kamta valita el makom asher yechar shemokecha bo, right? Which is, like we said, the lishkas hagazis, the Sanhedrin etzel mizbeach, as nitgaleh in Parshas Mishpatim. What happens if the Beis Din Gadol is not in their makom? They don't have the same authorities. I mean, I have a whole shtickle Torah that they still have. It's not batal mevutal, but there are two major differences. Once they're not, a key difference legabe a halacha in this week's parsha, because the one who's over on disobeying the Beis Din Gadol is chayiv misa, is the zaken mamre. He's over loisosor in an oifen. They is chayiv misa. If he was cholak, it's a gemara foreshes. Cholak alem chutz mim kaimam, he's potter. Cholak alem. If he, right, if they're not sitting in the lishkas hagazis when he's cholak on them, whether be'etzim or b'mikra, right, he's potter. Right. It's not the same Beis Din Gadol if they're not bimkoimam etzel hamizbeach. Right, but we also know another din. I don't know all the detailed halachas thereof, but once they are chutzlim kaimam, then dinei nefashos fall out of use. Gemara says that already 40 years koydem chorban abayis, by their own volition, the Sanhedrin exiled themselves. They left the Harabayas, and they rented a storefront. They rented a chanut in Yerushalayim, and that's where they functioned.
Why didn't?
No, because people started killing each other right and left. They didn't want to have to be dan dinei nefashos anymore. I say I don't know all these dinim al boryam, but I understand that when they leave their makom, then dinei nefashos also can't be practiced anymore. Right? But I'll go for it, man. So it's not the Zelber Beis Din Gadol, right? If they're not bimkaimam. So this, tasim son of etzel mizbeach is not just it's not a technical halacha. They are not the same if they're not there. Right? So Asher are not etzel mizbach Hashem Elokecha, but them, yes, etzel mizbach Hashem Elokecha. Right? Right. So what's the idea? So etzel mizbeach. So what does the mizbeach do? Right. What does the mizbeach do? The mizbeach, brings things from down up. Right? It's male. Right? The mizbeach is part of the whole process of being male something from chulin to kedusha, and from kedusha up to ein soif. That's lashon hazayah, that the karbanos oila ad ein soif, right? Mamash reach, the highest madregas. They understand. Even the first step of being magdish wouldn't really apply if there would be no such thing as a mizbeach. You have to first make it kadosh lemizbeach, step one. But there will be no such thing as a mizbeach, so even the first step of being magdish wouldn't really apply. There would be no such thing as being kodshe mizbeach. There would be no such thing as a mizbeach. The Torah's first machar. So it comes out that the mizbeach is not just maleh things from the time of the hakrava b'poal and onwards. If there wouldn't be such a din as mizbeach, then it wouldn't be such a. If there wouldn't be any such concept, there wouldn't be such a thing as being magdish a davar lemizbeach either. Because the mizbeach will be there's no such thing. Kadosh le what, right? So the mizbeach is mamish the sherish of the kedusha, even that the bailim is magdish the korban. It's kadosh le mizbeach, right? And then the mizbeach follows through, right, and brings things up, midarga ledarga, right, as the korban goes through the different olamis ad ein sof.
If it's just a vehicle, then it's not just a vehicle. If there will be no such thing as a mizbeach, there will be no such thing as being magdish something with mizbeach. You say it's kodesh mizbeach, but if there's no such thing, means that there's no vehicle.
there's no such concept. There's no such thing.
Who said the mizbeach is machadish the concept? It's machadish the vehicle.
No, it's because there will be no such thing as a mizbeach. There will be no kodesh mizbeach. Right. What the mizbeach does, right, is it takes things midarga ledarga, right? Layla. Right. So, but the main point is that the thing mikoach the mizbeach is yotzei migidro, to take on a higher form, and from that higher form to a higher form, right? Right. Up to lemala midas. Right, Kayador, the Makam Mikdash is already reaches lemala from das. Whether because of nisim that defied all logic over there. Omdim tzufim shtachim uvachim, or in the Kodesh HaKadoshim ha'orain eno min amida, and the Mizbeach makes that transition, takes something that's, it brings it, lamala ad ein sof. Right. The Indian of putting the Sanhedrin etzel HaMizbeach, right, is. It's like this. It's to be on the same street, just in the opposing lane. Be on the same street in the opposing lane. Right? That's that the shefa, that's Lamala Midas, should come down. Right? Should come down and be chal on the Sanhedrin. Right? So maybe we have to go back, and maybe we should have, I think in the Shir on Shabbos, we actually explained this first, before we got into Shetasim Sanhedrin Etzel Mizbeach. What is government? What is leadership? What is it? How should it be done? I know it's a big machlokes, monarchy, democracy, communism, socialism, totalitarianism. Right? What does the Torah say? What does the Torah say about government? What does the Torah say? I guess, for lack of a better word, they call it politics. But I hope politics is a dirty word, right? What does the Torah say about it? Right. So lahavdil from what Plato, the philosopher, said. Plato has the Republic, and he spoke about there should be the philosopher king. Not only a philosopher is right to be king, because he's the wisest. He'll know how to be manhig al derech hachochma. Right? As a word, it's like the most efficient way to run things, the most intelligent way to run things. the Torah says something else. Right. All right. So of course, everyone will agree that the Torah is not so much concerned, with it being in the wisest possible way. The Torah is concerned with tikkun, and you have to be manik things in a way that everything has its tikkun, everything will serve its purpose.
And that's not done by Chokhmah.
No, so Chokhmah could be that, but doesn't have to be that, because it could be certain things that Chokhmah would say is inefficient, right? But the Torah, but you need it for your tikkun, right? But to say yet even better and more precise, the Rambam in the Mar Nevuchim, right? In Parak Nun Dalet. So he goes on. Moshe Rabbeinu had a request. He's saying there was an Eis Ratzon, and HaKadosh Baruch Hu forgave Klal Yisrael for the Chet HaEgel, right? So he said, "No matzah yodenis drachecha v'decha leman emtzachei b'lecha ure'ei ke'amcha hagoy hazeh." Right? And you should see this nation. See this nation as your nation. So he said, Moshe Rabbeinu said, "Teach me your secrets," right? So because then I'll be closer to you. But then he adds on Urek Amcha Goyazeh. Right? So Zok the Rambam. Right? Moshe Rabbeinu is saying, I want to know the secrets of the Hashgacha, because I want to be Manik Klal Yisrael the way you're Manik the world. And that's Ureki Amcha Goyazeh, and says the Rambam that it's befitting that the manhigim of Yisrael be neviim, be balei ruach hakodesh, right? That they should, know the secrets of the hashgacha. That the way the Rebbe is manhig the world is the way that they should be manhig the nation. So the goyim want the philosopher king. We want the prophet king. We want the prophet king, right? And that the hanhaga of the Am will be like the hanhaga of the Olam itself. So of course that's Chesed and Rachamim, Chesed, Rachamim, like we say, Ashiva Shoftim Kvar Rishayna, Yotzenu Kvar, V'aser Mimenu Yogalam Lochei Atashal B'Chesed U'V'Rachamim. And Chesed Rachamim may not always be, capitalism tells you Chesed and Rachamim is not wise, right? But amok mizeh, is we want to be the Am should be munhag the way the Rebbe is manhag the world, b'chesed b'rachamim, and and concerned with the tikkun hakloli. Right, the overall tikkun. Because that's the way the Rebbe is manhag the world, and that's where the Am has to. Is supposed to be munhag also, chesed u'v'rachim and leading them to tikkun. And so you be the same way Rebbe runs the world. So it comes out like this. There are three parallels. Right? There's the olamus, there's the am, and there's the individual. And all three, right? All three are parallel, so that it's a little bit more yadua in the individual. Zeh keli barveu hidamelo mahu rachum mafatar rachum. You have to, the person in his personal hanhaga is supposed to imitate, the Rebbe Shalom's midas, right? Okay, so it's that way also in national hanhaga, right? The national hanhaga is also beside, on a national level, being manhig the am, the way the Rebbe is manhig the olamis. And in a person himself, and we're going to talk about this at the end, a person has his own personal equivalent of a shofet, his own personal equivalent of a shoter, his own personal melech, right? And we'll discuss that a little bit at the end of the year. right? But I'll call upon him, right? The inyan of the Hanhogas Ha'uma, the inyan of Hanhogas Ha'uma, is mamish beside how Riboshel's manig the world. And these things, like milchama. You might think pacifism is better. But milchama is necessary for tikkun ha'olam, to get rid of the evil. Pacifism is to leave everything the way it is. Riboshem doesn't want that. Riboshem wants the world to progress, and there should be more tov and less ra. That's why milchama is necessary. Right? But I'll call upon him, right? I'll call upon him, the inyan of the Hanhaga that's being set up in this week's parsha is that with this system and with, these figures of authority are parallel to certain major koiches that Rebbe Shem is manig the olamus with. They run parallel. Rebbe Shem manig the world with different koiches. Right? And these different authority figures run parallel to the different major koiches that Rebbe Shem is manig the world with. Right? The one that's most, stands out, right, is the Navi. The Navi is manig al pi ruach HaKodesh. But the truth is, the Melech is like that. The Melech is like that also. The Melech is meant to be a merkava for the Midas HaMalchus. Right? The Melech represents Midas HaMalchus. So now it's a little bit easier to understand. Basically we're saying, what all the Mefarshim say. But if he, right, the Maaseh,
like
the Navi is, all the, the Mishpat is the Melech is Malchus. The Mishpat is the Tiferes. Right. The Mishpat is the the Sanhedrin. It's connected to the Tiferes. The coin and Navi, I forget what how it spells it, but that's I remember the Sanhedrin is Mishpat is Amud Emtzai, so it's the Tiferes, and the Amud HaEmtzai, and the Malchus is the Malchus, that's Makabel. And then the coin and the Navi also fit in. One is Chesed, one is Gevura. I don't remember all the pratim offhand, but we're speaking klali. But now we understand. Why Klai so got into trouble for asking for a melech in the days of Shmuel. Right? Shmuel let them have it for asking for a melech. Right? And it's a pella, right? In our parsha, you see it's a mitzvah sasei deraisa, som tasim alecha melech. So, what was wrong? No, because they wanted a melech, because they didn't want him, Shmuel. They didn't want the Navi. Right? So, they wanted a melech not as a reflection of Midas HaMalchus. They wanted a melech kechol hagoyim. Literally. Right? You're supposed to have a melech as a reflection of the Midas HaMalchus, which means the melech will be together with the Navi and the Anhaga. Not that they wanted a melech because they wanted to push Shmuel out. Right? They wanted to push, as it were. They wanted it to be a more of a, conventional political setup, as opposed to being a theocracy. They were governed by a Navi. They didn't want that. One melech. No, it's supposed to be a melech. Yeah, so that was their ched. You're supposed to som tasim lecha melech, right? In addition to the Navi, right? Together with the Navi, and the melech is another form of it. Brings is the merkava of another kayach that's a mover and shaker and non-hook of the olamas, right? And it wouldn't come at the expense of the Navi. It's in addition to Navi, in addition to the coin, in addition to the Sanhedrin. Right? They wanted a melech kilu, as a way of departing from a structure they viewed as a theocracy. Right? No, but the melech that the Torah wants is a chelik of the theocracy. Right? He's the merkav of the midah of malchus. Each one of these authority figures that are set up in this week's parsha are keneged another one of the major koiches that you're supposed to manage the olamas with. But I'll call padim nimtzenu lemedin, right? That the system of government, of which one of the primary forces is the Sanhedrin, right? The Sanhedrin make the laws. The Melech has, his authorities, but he doesn't make the laws. He can make a whole Ras Shah, but he's, the laws are be'etzem set up by the Sanhedrin. They're the legislature, right? So the Indian that they're etzel hamizbeach, and it is that they're etzel mizbeach is that they're on the same road that the mizbeach represents. Just by them, the traffic is in reverse. Right? They are mekabel from shefa, that's lamala from das, that's yored till it's mislabish in their seichel, and then it takes on the levush of sichlius, takes on the levush of intellect, and then al pi that they paskin. But really, the makor of what they say al bidarkei seichel is from lamala miseichel. So they're on that road, but just the traffic's in reverse. The mizbeach sets up a road, right? So the regular animal korban goes this way. The Sanhedrin get the traffic in the reverse direction. That the shefetz l'malam min das is yored chal and mitlabesh. Mitlabesh.
Tefillah will say the same thing, that the tziner that the sheikhs that you create with Hashem like tefillah, to me that is the
So that's the mizbeach. That's all crazy. So the shefa that's l'malam midas comes down in the same road, just the traffic is opposite direction, and it's so the seichel that's l'mala from das is chal on the das of it's chal on the it's mitlabesh in the moichin of the Sanhedrin, and from that comes misham yotzei hara l'Yisrael. Ki mitzion teitzei sareh. Right, so that's the Makam HaMikdash. That's why they have to be Etzel Mizbeach. Right. That's why they have to be Etzel Mizbeach. And may like this, the Torah first opened up and introduced Shoftim and said not to take sheichad. Right, not to take sheichad. Right. Right. Shochet yaver nechachon v'yisav devei tzadikim. Let me ask you something. Right. Is it only usher to take sheichad? Right, to go against the din. What was some for shalach and shulchan aruch? Can't go wrong. It's an opening shut case. But still, the guy who knows he's right says, I want to end this quickly, and here's $10, you'll find the bill and the appropriate siman that has to do with this din Torah, You give shochet to paskin lefi adin, or I'll give you another case. Let's say the someone else, a third party, thinks this guy's right, this guy's wrong, right? Third party is not a dayan. What do you do? He's not a dayan, right? But he thinks he knows better. And maybe he does know it. Maybe he's smarter. All right, but so give some money to the dayanim. Look, I'm giving them good advice. They may not be intelligent enough to follow the good advice that I'm giving them, so I have to give them an incentive, right? Right. Maybe the Baal HaShochad knows better than the Dayanim. Right? Shochad's only also if it's Leheja against the din. But the pshat is like this. Shochad, right? Shochad is not usher because it behechreach is keneged, what the Baal HaShochad wants is behechreach keneged the din. That's not. Shochad is unconditionally usher, no matter what. Right? No matter what. The problem with sheichad is that when the dayan takes sheichad, he is no longer being mekabel, siyata deshmaya from the Shechina. It's no longer Elokim nitzav baraskel. As I'll say, the Rebbe Shalom is there amongst them. He's going to feed the day of the Baal HaShochad. And that's already ois dayan. Because the Indian of the dayan, Elokim nitzav baraskel, is that he said the psak because of the hashra that was on it. Now he's saying the psak because of the sheichad. So what if it happens to be correct? But the Indian of that, the Indian of sheichad is that you're not really a dayan anymore, because the Indian of being a dayan hogun, is that the Rebbe Shalom is speaking through you, and now you're not saying what you're saying because Rebbe Shalom is speaking through you. Right? You're saying what you're saying because you got paid off for it. So it's not the das of the Rebbe Shalom that's being chal in your mouth, it's the das of the Baal HaShochad. That's a Gemara. It says sheichad is a lashon shehu chad. That the Mepharshim say you're now one with the deya of the Baal HaShochad. So if the Baal HaShochad happens to be right, you're not being makabel from the Rebbe Shalom. So it makes so Indian le'inyan, we mentioned the Chazon Ish. That I read some, I can't remember where I read it, years ago. I read it a long time ago. That the time of when they try, the state was getting started, so to try to be Am Echad, they wanted the Shoftim, right, the secular judges. They would write up Choshen Mishpat in a secular style. They write up, there would be what's called, they called in colleges Mishpat Ivri, Hebrew law, right? They would write up the Gantz Shulchan Aruch, just they'd write up in a modern lashon of modern law books, and then the Shoftim would paskin, but it'll be al pi Shulchan Aruch. It'll be al pi Shulchan Aruch, just the Shulchan Aruch will be written up as a modern codex of law. Right? Chazon Ish was against. They said it won't help. It's nothing. Because he said Dayanut and Psak Din is totally in Siyata Dishmaya. They're relating to it as secular law and analyzing a secular law. They won't have Siyata Dishmaya. Agam also they don't really have the training between Madam and Milsa and Milsa. But he said even in the event that technically they got it right, because it was a black and white case, and it was black and white in the Shulchan Aruch, and they wrote it up black and white in the simple law book. It's Nishkin Psak. Because he's not relating to it as Dvar Hashem. He's relating to it as, the law, the secular law. So it's not going to work. It's not, it's totally in Siyat Shmar. Siyat Shmar there won't be. If the guy is secular and he relates to it as secular law, so what if it's all copied out of the Shulchan Aruch? Doesn't help anything. Right? So the Isser of Shochad, you have to say, is not the pshat, because that kilu shochar is only also if it's connected the did and the money's just a echitim to get you to go. No, shochar is always also even if I give you shochar to paskin correctly, right? Because it's no longer the day that you were makabel from siyata d'shmaya. It's the day of the Baal HaShochad. Shehu chad, says Gemara, you're now one with the day of the Baal HaShochad.
So without the Zakdama of Siyat Dishmai that they're getting from inside, like in Stam, Sheikh would be also Stam because let's say we're handling that it's his day, right? The Dayan's day. The second he gets Sheikh, even if he's getting it from the right side, it's still Shuchad. So it's right there.
Yeah, but
it's not Daitoi.
That's what I'm saying. It's not from. It's not from HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And that's why now we understand the the hemshech. The Torah is giving a pirush, as a further pirush on the shorish hadabar of just like shechad's aser. Why shechad's aser? For the same reason, lo sita l'cha ashera kol eitz etzel mizbach Hashem Elokecha. Niflamod. Right, now we said this Isser Asherah is, even if you're not oivid, it's not an Asherah in the conventional sense that you made it in Avodah Zarah. It's planting any tree, right? Any tree, Etzel Mizbach Hashem Elokecha. It's Niflamod, right? What does a tree represent? Das of the Adam. And it's a pasuk in this week's parasha, right? A pasuk in this week's parasha could be read as that. By the Isser in this week's parasha, in Hilchos Milchama. The Bible says, Lo tashchit etz eitzah. Right? Don't chop down its fruit trees. Ki ha'adam eitz hasadeh. For man is a fruit tree. That's the way a lot of Mefarshim read it. Right? When Moshe Rabbeinu sent the Meraglim, right? So he asked, Hayesh ba eitz in ayin. What is the eitz? If there's a tzaddik, an ish hagun. Right? The eitz represents the tefisa of the Adam. Right? And we explained this many times, the Rishonim already say. Like the Adam's like it's in the Sefer Yashav Rabbeinu Tam, it's in the Maharal, right? Like the Adam is like an upside down tree. Just the roots are up in HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and it branches down. The das is like the roots, and then the meisim are like the fruit. V'chulei, v'chulei, v'chulei. Right? Right? So the tree is the tfisas Adam. Right? Right? He refers to an Adam Hagun. Right? Right? Asherah is Miloshin Takif. What does the word Asherah mean? The word Asher means strength. Right? Like Ashur Yehovah. Being Machas, give her to get. Right? Ashur. Right? Right? Right. Right. We say Asher Shibarta, Asher Kocha Shibarta, right? Right? The Isser of Asherah Etzos Ashokaha, because by the Mizbech you have to go with Bittul Hadas. Right? Lo Titelcha Asherah Etzos is that there can't be any type of takifut hadat by the Mizbech. You have to go Bizbakus. And it is explained that the Dayan has to go in to the Din Torah and go into the Sugya with Bittul Adas. I have no opinions of my own. The Sugya is going to form my opinions. Right? And that's a Dayan She'eno Hogun. Is Kilu Nota Asherah. And we learn out for the Smich Sapsukim here in this week's parasha. The Dayan She'eno Hogun does not go with total Bittul Hadas. That letting the Torah, form the Deya that he's supposed to have.
So it's
right?
So it's in the Tias Asherah.
No, so just like being Notea and Asherah and Makah, even if it's not an Avodah Zarah B'Poyel. It's not an Avodah Zarah B'Poyel, but still any type of takifus. Takifus hadas by the mizbeach is also, and that's the dayanim are supposed to be like the mizbeach, like in that matzav, just the traffic being in the opposite flow, where they have no daya of their own.
Saying, what's the comparison? I heard two things. What's the parallel to the mizbeach? You're saying that it's the opposite flow, but in the fact that they are asked to be put next to the mizbeach as
right. Well, it's
it's to show.
And also from the fact that over here that anyone a dayan she'eno hagun is kilu nota asherah is learned out from the smichus over here, and it all fits together. The mizbeach being the common denominator. Shetasim Sanhedrin Etzel HaMizbeach, Lo Sitach Etzel Mizbeach Asher Kecha, a Dayan She'eno Hagun is like an Asherah, The Pshat is like this, because by the Mizbeach, whether you're dying or not, by the Mizbeach is a makam of Bittul Hadas. Right? Bittul Hadas. Because the ascent can't be Belisov if you have a day on it. If you have a day on it, then it's limited. By the Mizbeach has to be Bittul Hadas. So that's why, for everybody, it's also to be Notea Asherah Etzel Mizbeach. Right? Now, the smichas to the Dayanim, right, to the point that we say, Dayan Shen Hogan's Kilu Nata Asherah, is that the Dayan is not allowed to have any personal dayot. Eitz represents the Odom. Right? The Odom can't be Betakifus Hadas. Right? By the Mizbeach Bechlal. Right? But as a Dayan Befrat, he has to go in totally open, that the evidence and the sugya should make his opinion.
Right. But by the Mizbeach, is the Rav saying...
So I'm saying for all Klal Yisrael, by the Mizbeach, you have to be B'Bittul Hadas.
Right. Does that manifest itself in the Korbanos themselves?
The Korbanos themselves?
Right.
Right.
A person who's bringing a Korban...
Right. The person bringing carbon or anyone who's participating
involved in the avoda,
right? Because the avoda is lamala from the das, right? Or is to ascend to lamala min das, right? So it can't be bittul das that that way he has an aliyah that he's not as it were holding himself back by sticking to his Hagdoros. Right, so the Torah, Asher Etzel Mizbach Shadas represents that Israel having Takifus Hadas, that the Olam cannot be Takif Bedato by the Mizbeach. And the Dayan also can't be Takif Bedato, when going into, when he issues the final psak, it could be Takif Bedato. But at the time, he has to not have any daya of his own, as a word, the Shechina has to be poil on his moichin. What does the matzeva represent? Right, so this is not even dafka numakom hamikdash. This is anywhere. I'll tell you matzeva. So the word matzeva is loshen yatziv, matzav, stable. And the matzeva, after all, was a solid piece of rock, right? And right now in my backyard, hammering away at a solid piece of rock, it's taking forever, right? Right? Solid, It's not made up of parts. So it's made up of parts, it's very easy to break, right? Right. Now the Inyan of the matzeva represents midas, right? Avalostam. Lostam, Latziv is to stand up, to erect, to make stable. Right? So the Mishnah says, Al Shosh Dvarim Olam Kayim, Ala Din, Ala Emes V'Asholem. Right, which are all topics in this week's parsha. Din, Emes, and Shalom. Right? Al Shlosh Dvarim Olam Oimed Al Torah V'Avoda V'Gvilas Chasadim. Right? Right? There are very, very strong midas that uphold the world. Now we have to qualify that. Right? They upheld the world before Matan Torah. After Matan Torah, right? So these midas that uphold the world have to be dafka al yedei the Torah. Because once the Torah was given, the Kiyum Olamas is totally in Torah. So the Din Emes and Shalom, or Torah Avodah Gemilas Chasadim, has to be, al yedei the Torah. You'll have these midas that are mamash mekayim the world. Give it yitzivut, give it stability. Uphold the world, meitzav, right? So now, like this, Don't remember. Right? It's in there, but but the idea is day pashut. Right? Matzav is often strength. Matzav. Yatziv. Nitzav. Right? They represent, there's certain very strong midas, right, that uphold the world. Din emes Hashem, Torah v'od gvils chasad. Right? But now, prior to Matan Torah, right, the whole Kiyum Ha'olam was totally in midas, because Torah wasn't given yet. And that's the sort of derech eretz kodma l'Torah. Before Torah, so the Olam was, the Kiyum of the Olam was totally in derech eretz. Right? And sometimes to the point that the Torah wasn't upheld. There's a Fursha Chazal, right? Lama nasa kayin achoisai, Olam chesed yibane. And that Chazal, Olam chesed yibane, that pasuk is referring to, Maram is on the pasuk in Achrimos, that if a person takes his sister, chesed, right? The world, the kiyum of the world was the midas chesed. Olam chesed yibane. And since the world was the kiyum of the midah per se, and not chesed al pi das Torah. So that's why you had, that kiyum olam. People married their own sisters. Right? Olam chesed yibane. Right? Now came the others, right? And because even mitzad midas toivus, or midas, the world was not doing well until the others came along. And Kaidu Avram Avinu was metakin chesed, and Yitzchak Avinu was metakin din, and Yaakov was metakin tiferes. But Afal Pi Kain, it was midas that ran parallel to the Torah, but it wasn't Torah mamish. Yaakov himself married two sisters, so midah of the tiferes runs parallel to the Torah, but in the zman of the others, right, where Torah wasn't given yet. So what gave the world kiyum, yitzivut, was the abor of the others, which was the abor tikkun amidas. Avram was metakin this midah, Yitzchak Avinu that midah, and Yaakov that midah.
What was the advance? What was the advance that the Avos gave to the world in their using midas properly that wasn't there before?
That's right. That's correct, because by the rest of the world the midas were out of control. Now,
the example that the Rav gave about Olam Chesed Yibone was a proper example of
but it was also an example. I meant to bring it to show that the midas, even though Torah is koilo midas tovus is not koilo Torah. But it is true that derech eretz kodma l'Torah. So we mentioned the Rabbeinu Abraham ben Arambam that said that humanity had to grow up. Part of why a cotton is potter for mitzvahs, he's not a bardas. Not a bardas also means he doesn't know how to use his midas. He becomes a bardas, then he's got which the achana for that is training in midas. So then the Torah could be chal, and humanity says when it comes to humanity had to go through as it were, a maturity process, says Rabbeinu Avraham ben Arambam and Sefer Melchemes Hashem. Humanity had to grow up, and that was the whole process of which what the others did a lot to advance that of making humanity a little bit more mature. All right, so that's tikkun amidas, but then but that's a hachana for Torah. Upon good midas is chal Torah, right? But their avodah was midas and not Torah. The Torah was chal on top of that. A person has to have, good midas, and then, a Talmud she'eino hagun, you're not allowed to teach him Torah. You have to have good midas, and then but the avodah of the zman of the others was midas, right, and not yet Torah. But of course, good midas have a certain parallel to Torah. That's why we find they kept quasi halacha, but it wasn't halacha mamish.
I don't know if I remember the Rav saying this or whether I was thinking it in the shiur. I understood that the Avos were like a bridge because they did keep the Torah. They did keep the Torah as long as it didn't get in the way of the whatever avoda they thought was proper. Didn't the Rav speak about that?
Yes.
As far as that?
Yes.
Marrying two sisters was because they understood that's what needed to be That's
Right.
the tikkun that needed to be
Oh,
done.
because again, it's the same thing. Because the avoda, the ikar avoda was not Torah. The ikar was midas. You know. Right. Now, of course, these midas, these midas taivas is a kli to then, therefore, after that, hold the Torah. But that was the avoda at the time. So even the others made matzevas. The others made matzevas. Right? Is that the others were, were working, their avoda of rock hard midas, like pillars to uphold the world. Pillars. Like Din Emes Rishon, Torah Gmilas Chasom, which are also parallel to midas. These are pillars. These are matzevas. These are pillars. And that's Chazal talk about, the Rambam calls Avram Vinu Amudo Shel Olam, the pillar of the world. It's a medrash like that. That's why Avram was born in the middle of history. So there's a medrash that said, I can't remember what the medrash is. He was born in the middle of history because if you have an amud to hold up the building, you have to put it in the middle. There's no doubt that the Rambam liked that medrash, and he calls Avram Vinu Amudo Shel Olam. Right? These are pillars, right? The matzevas, they were makriba matzevas, that they were metakim certain rock hard midas that were mamish, a yisoid for the olam to exist. El tel Shemaim Varts behi baram, that Shemaim Varts were nivra b'schus Avram. But that was the avodah of all the others. But then after Matan Torah, which involved getting the mishpatim, right? The hanhaga changed. Now the kiyum has to be through Torah. So first of all, we can understand, that even though it's Ohuv Sastam, the Pshat, right? It was Ohuv B'Mea Avos, but now the Canaanim use it, so we don't use it anymore. But fine, that's totally legit because we're not talking about Torah, we're talking about Midas. And a Chinami, if the Goyim exhibit Midas Torahs, which they could, but and they incorporate those Midas Torahs into Avodah Zarah. So we have to keep far away from that levush of the midah, because we're talking about a midah and not Torah, right? So that levush of the midah we have to stay, and we can only come on to that midah ayidei the Torah. So they have a certain midah teva, but it's associated with avodah zarah. So that levush for that midah we have to stay away from. But economic, so our kasha is not a kasha. We have to, so Muslims do bris milah, let's stop doing bris milah. It's not a kasha, because we're not, the matzeva represents midas tevas, right? Midas tevas that they've, as it were, incorporated for their avodah zarah. So that manifestation of the midah, we have to stay far away from. And it's shaykh to be hijacked to avodah zarah, because we're talking about a midah, we're not talking about the etzem Torah. So now the Torah is called all the midas tevas, but this levush of the midah that got distance from the Torah, we have to stay away from that levush of the midah. We have to have that midah only as it appears al yedei the Torah. But of course, if they would start doing one of our mitzvahs, of course we keep on doing one of our mitzvahs. The matzeva represents midas, right? So the others had to do it, and it was much probably the goyim were doing matzevas at that time for the avodah zaras also, because the kiyum ha'olam was totally in midas at the time, because it's before Matan Torah. But since Matan Torah, the kiyum ha'olam is totally in Torah, and ayedei the Torah, through the Torah, there'll be din emes and shalom. Through the Torah, there'll be Torah, avodah, and gemilas chasadim. It shall have to come ayedei the Torah. So now there's also a lesson for the Dayanim, right? There's some that say, I like going easy. I'm a liberal. The Dayan says, I'm a conservative. Right? So look, I've got no preconceived notions, but I've got my midas. You know. You know. I have my midas. You know. You know, as, whether it's the type of heart that he has, whether it's the type of you know, slant, even if he's not coming with any preconceived notions, but afal piken, he has his tendencies and he tends to take a certain angle. This is my midah. This is the way I am. This is the way I am. This is the way I handle. See, if it's not a daya, it's just a tendency, it's just an angle, it's just a yardstick that I measure with. Some say, I'm a humanist. I'm a conservative. I'm a liberal. That's just who I am. You know, it's not my midah. So a dayan is not allowed to go into din with any particular midah. The midah has to come from the Torah, not use the midah to be mefarish the Torah, but the Torah has to make the midah. That's lo takim l'cham matzeh v'shasane Hashem l'kecha. Even though the others were baalei midas, Avram pushed Chesed and Yitzchak pushed Din and Yaakov pushed Tiferes. That was good for their days. But now that the Anhaga is Al Pi Torah, so it's a Das Torah alone, and the Torah will make the Midah. Not the Midah will be a tool to be Mefarish the Torah. Right? And then comes the Isser of not being Makriv Ba'al Mum to the Mizbeach. Not being Makriv Ba'al Mum. By the way, there's a halacha also. It's not by all Dayonim, but it has to do with the next parsha. To be a member of the Sanhedrin, the basic you can't be a Ba'al Mum. Right? It's Niflamoid. Right? To be a member of the Beis Haggadah, you can't be a Baal Mum. It's mamash doimet to the Mizbeach. So you can't be makriv a Baal Mum on that. The Mum represents that there's some chisaron. See, if it's not your fault, you were born that way, it makes no difference. Now, kayadua, in a perfect world, which as such as we are striving for, the chitzonius and the pnimis run parallel. B'yameinu, the Zman Lagos, the chitzonius and pnimis do not run parallel. That's part of the problem of shchinta b'galusa. We've spoke about this in other shiurim. Right? But in a perfect world, like in the Zman of the Mikdash, like the Zman that the Chumash is describing, the chitzonius and the pnimis run parallel. So if there's a pagam in chitzonius, it's moira on a pagam in pnimis. Back in the good old days when the Shekhinah was sitting in its proper place, so the Chitzos ran parallel. So the Isser of Baal Mum, which is also by no coincidence that you have that Isser, that a Baal Mum can't be a member of the Beis Din Agadol. But Niflamoid, right? You have to be a non-Baal Chisaron because that Chisaron will come in, just like that Chisaron prevents the animal from being elevated. That mum, which is more on some type of pagam and pnimis, is also going to come between you and getting the full hashra. Right? And then the Torah sums it up and says the Isra Avodah Zarah, we have to burn out Avodah Zarah. He gave its first introduction to Hilchos Eidos by being made on Avodah Zarah, then the Torah finished up Hilchos Eidos later in the parsha, Right. But the point is like this, the Torah is giving you a message, what Dayonis is all about. Dayonis is all about Shem Shamayim being Chal in the world, which is the Hefech of Avodah Zarah. Avodah Zarah is, Silo Kashchina from the world, right? Avodah Zarah is called a Chilul Hashem, says the Zarah, makes a halal, makes a vacuum in the world, because where Avodah Zarah is, Shem Shemayim isn't. Whereas the union of the Dayanim, is to bring Kedusha and Shem Shemayim into the world. Elkim Nitzav Bad Askel, and it reversals with the Dayanim, wherever they are. Yeah. That's why there's a Torah Smasmich over here, the Isser of Avodah Zarah, uprooting Avodah Zarah, because you have to realize that the whole union of Malchus Yisrael, everything that this parsha is about, Bechlal and the Dayanim Befrat, is that the Jewish system of government is to bring Shem Shemayim into the world. Right? It's the Hefech of Avodah Zarah. Goyish government is about management. Right? Jewish government is about bringing Shem Shemayim in the world. Every aspect of Jewish judgment, even the judicial process, everything is about bringing Shem Shemayim into the world. Hefech from Avodah Zarah. And after Torah, so what the Torah took a break in action for all these mitzvahs that have to do with Mizbeach and Isra Avodah Zarah is to explain what the Shoftim are about and what Jewish government is about. Right? And just said, going back to the parallel in the individual, all the Chasir Shesfarim on this week's parasha say, the Adam is a micro universe. The Adam is a micro nation. The Baal HaTanya says the Adam is an Ir Ketana. It's a small city. You have to govern yourself, right? You have to set up for yourself a shofet, right? You have to always dine where everything is al pi halacha. You have to set upon yourself a shoter to make sure that you carry out, that the Kabbalah should be a serious Kabbalah, that should be maybe Lidei Maisa, right? Etc., etc., etc. You have to have a melech inside of you. Melech is that you do everything l'shem shamayim. Kabbalah ol malchus shamayim. The Chassidus from are marich very, very much, and they say that is befrat the avodah of Elul. Befrat the avodah of Elul, far Rosh Hashanah, that you want to be Makabel Rebbe Shmuel Melech, you got to straighten yourself out during the month of Elul. This is all the Sifrei Chassidus, and this Bar says it's not a coincidence that the first parsha we read in Elul is Shoftim. The avodah of Elul is the hachana is to set up our internal system of government. Start making seder in all our inyanim, al pi derech haTorah, that when we come to Rosh Hashanah, which is where El ends at Rosh Hashanah, when we're Mekabel Rebbe as a melech, it'll mamish be chal on all our ramachei varim and shesag gidim, because we've built up our internal system of government, right? The way we're manig ourselves in a way that it's muchan and mezuman to Mekabel, that hashra of Rebbe being our melech. Right, that's what we said in Shir. 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 Said in Shir.